It's a Colorado College tradition to invite a graduating senior to speak at commencement. The class of 2015 has chosen Sayles as their speaker. From Ashland, Oregon, Han is a comparative literature major and a concentration in feminist and gender studies and a Spanish minor. Over the past 4 years, Han has been active in student communications as editor-in-chief of the award-winning Cipher magazine, as well as the manager of the student radio station, The Sounds of CC. Please welcome Sayles.
Thank you. I'm outside. It's 6:40 a.m. and 10 degrees in the middle of winter, and it wasn't this morning. My holy gloves, and by that I mean my gloves have holes in them, and my red beanie almost covers my eyes. I'm ready to be in a state of misery, but when I look up from shuffling my feet, I can see a pink and orange sunrise peeking over the East Mountains, casting a gold shadow over Colorado College's campus. Just another day in the life of CC's New York Times paper girl. Now, delivering the paper might seem like a trivial task, one that requires me to keep my head down during snow flurries and head up when I accidentally run through sprinklers, but I found it to be an unexpectedly rewarding experience. It's an objectively boring job, yet by the time I make it back to my house each morning, I feel like I've brushed the sleeping core of our institution, and it's not because of the cute sunrises. While delivering the paper, not a single morning goes by that someone doesn't try to open a door for me. I'm not talking about faux frivolous attempts at helping a lady through a door. Working women open doors for me. While I fumble around with stacks of paper, and I wish I was talking about the other kinds of stacks of paper, women on the janitorial staff who are busy cleaning the building and have been since 5:30 a.m. will rush to each door to help me through. Grounds crew members offer to give me rides when it rains outside. CC professors will chat with me about what's in the news. And more often than not, CC students, most of whom I don't know, will offer to share the load. These unexpected moments of compassion every morning have transformed my tedious job into an experience of community, which I think is reflective of CC at its best. And that's what I want to talk about today, compassion. I realize the word compassion has been hollowed of much of its meaning and perhaps elicits an eye roll as you anticipate a didactic lesson, but luckily, you have no choice but to hear me out. What we seek and what we can gain from a liberal arts education encompasses an enormous variety of skills and ideas. But one of the foundational principles, something I know is cultivated across all disciplines, is empathy for others. Here's the trick. I'm not just speaking about random acts of kindness like baking cookies for your professor, or even larger acts like starting a nonprofit. I'm talking about the daily grind. And what I've learned here is that compassion is an activity that one must work on every single day. And practicing it for yourself and for others around you takes a large degree of courage and creativity. First, let me acknowledge that being self-centered, maybe the opposite of compassion, is the easiest way to live, which is why so many of us fall into that pattern. I realize it can sometimes feel like the entire population is living their lives in the Truman Show, the center of their own very badly constructed 90s universe. And it's only too easy for everyone to fall into this mode of being. Our culture encourages it. But if our education has given us anything, it's the expansive ability to see beyond ourselves. When someone offers to take the papers to the south end of campus for me, there are no rewards for the person involved. It sucks their time and energy, and I don't have a habit of carrying $5 bills around for a tip. They must be driven to do it because of something else. Merely, it makes us feel human to help each other. And compassion works that way. There are a million satisfying steps, but no final destination in sight. Rather, the destination is each connection, each bridge you build while cultivating an ethic of kindness. And courage is a prerequisite for compassion because our own vulnerability is involved in the pursuit of knowledge. Being on the block plan, as I'm sure you'll agree, has never been a comfortable experience. I see students physically and emotionally exhausted every 3 weeks, as every month we immerse ourselves in the unknown, in other cultures, sciences, methods, ways of thinking, different peers, and the occasional terrifying visiting professor. But we all hopefully continue to do this to achieve an openness to new ideas. When you take your first Feminist and Gender Studies course and learn about the intersectionality of racism in the American court system, or an environmental science course, where maybe you'll discover that 125 million people around the world suffer from serious health problems due to industrial pollution, you must have the bravery to admit that others feel pain. And feeling for others is damn hard work, because in doing so, you take on some of their burden. You give a small part of yourself, be it time or emotional energy, to everyone you empathize with. That's why I say it's an activity which demands great strength. And when we take steps to be brave and feel for others, we use creativity to reimagine what our world could be like if we all did a little better. Once again, I'm gesturing towards large creative impulses, ones that instigate culture-changing initiatives. But also, I believe creativity begins on the microcosmic level of merely helping yourself get through the day without losing your faith in humanity. Think of something small. There's an annoying freshman in your class. There's always that one kid, you know, the one who has seemingly irrelevant contributions to class discussion. He sprays spit while he loudly talks, maybe saying incoherent things about reading he didn't do, clearly, because he considers himself an expert in the field after taking one course on the topic in high school. Having a, "this is the most annoying dude in the world and I cannot wait to get out of class with him or put him in his place" attitude, of which I am also guilty, is the easiest course of action. But compassion is creative because you must realize that you have a choice. In the tiny moment before you speak to the guy, to stop and consider that he might be insecure. Maybe he's nervous and hiding it with callousness. Maybe he was bullied in high school for being quiet. Maybe he comes from a culture, very likely our culture, that has until this point encouraged him to behave in a certain way that you find intolerable. And it takes a great deal of creativity, the kind we have been exploring for the past 4 years, to consistently assume the best intentions in people, and to form a kind of perspective for your own sanity, but know that you have the capacity to do so. Now, not just with the annoying kid, but in the real world, where you'll be confronted with a far larger array of obstacles, and also with the mostly mundane task of living. We are given an opportunity each hour, maybe each minute, with the feelings and habits we want to indulge, all choices to passively or actively engage with the world. It takes creativity to see laundry, taxes, delivering the paper, finding a job, graduation in the world arena, opportunities to expand your experiences rather than hindrances to our success. And it also takes imaginative energy to recognize that you, to all people, are an other to their experience. But if we can slow down and make conscientious decisions in little moments, by being generous with our perspective of people and even with ourselves, I believe we will find the world a much more hospitable place, one worth devoting ourselves to advancing. This vision of a compassionate world is also a smart world, as without creativity, there will be no progress. Finally, it's a legacy left to us by our dear friend Emily, as memories of her kindness and grace continue to carry us through hard times. My education has been one based in empathy, inside and outside the classroom, And I recognize that we are all individuals here, each with our own catalyzing moments, major ahas coupled with failures, major accomplishments, other minor failures. What I see in this class is a group of doers capable of anything. We have innovated, volunteered, worked hard, worked fast, explored ourselves, Colorado, and the globe. We have shown ourselves to be capable of greatness, but that isn't the most important measure. We have proven ourselves to be capable of growth. After all, you're about to have a certified BA, which we all know is an acronym for badass. For that, I say congratulations. This is our time. We can practice compassion. We must be brave to creatively add to and sometimes rebuild the foundations that exist as we act on the pertinent issues facing our community and our planet. It's hard work, and we are cut out for it. As President Tiefenthaler said, it has been a privilege receiving an education from Colorado College, and I hope you'll agree with me that it will now be a privilege to give it back. I want to end with a quote by the late poet, theorist, and Chicana activist Gloria Anzaldua. Caminante, no hay puentes, se hace puentes al andar. It translates to Voyager, there are no bridges, one builds them as one walks. Class of 2015, now is our time to walk. Thank you.